So let's talk a little bit about random numbers. So what are random numbers? Random numbers are numbers which randomly go between a certain value. So there is a possibility that you may be asked to say a random number between 32 and 40. That that actually means that you start from 32 and the number ranges from 32 to 40. So what you can do, you can do 32 plus, subtract both of them, 40 minus 32 into math random. What does that mean? That means that this is going to generate a number between 0 and 1. That means this value is going to be between 0 and 8. That means, so 32 plus a value between 0 and 8 will be 32 plus 0 to 32 plus 8. So that means you have a value between 32 and 40. Does that make sense? Any questions on this? Everybody is okay, so it makes sense so far. Excellent. So let's do a few other things though. Now, assuming I want to put this as in an array, how do I work there? So if I want to put this in an array, so I'm going to use a for loop. I'm going to say int I equal to 0, I less than the size of the array. So assuming it's numbers, say length I plus plus. And then I'm going to say numbers I should equal to, say assuming I want numbers between 32 and 40. So I can say 32 plus 40 minus 32 into math random. Does this make sense? Nope. So when I go through this loop, I'll be able to generate numbers between 32 and 40 using this loop. Okay. So now let's do a few more things. So let's assume if we were to program this, how would we do something like this? So the first thing I need to do is to go to Replit, create a folder CSPC 06 1165 lab 11. Okay. So I am going to share my, yes. So I am going to share my screen. So can I, let's see. Does everybody see my screen now? I'm assuming yes. See one chat. Okay, lovely. So I'm going to create a new replit which will say Java CSPC 06 random. Okay, now we create, so give it a few seconds, it's booting up. So first things I do, I say name, then the next thing I say is class now. I need to create numbers. I need to create random numbers. So let's see how we do it. So first things first, I say I need an array. So I'm going to say, let's see, double because random numbers go between, could be decimals. So I can say numbers. Now it's an array. So I say, okay, double numbers is equal to new double 10. So now I'll make it even nicer. So I'm going to say int size is equal to 10, and I'm going to say new double. Please note this though, if I change size here, automatically my loop is going to change, because I don't want to be going in and changing everything all the time. And I'm using numbers.length, which actually, because then I don't need to go in and change that value all the time. Okay. Now I'm going to do something very interesting. I'm going to look at the participants, and I'm only going to give you rights to the video to whoever the participants are in the class. Anybody who doesn't show up in class will have to request the rights to the video. We will do this for a few times. So let's see. So I say numbers I is equal to, let's see if I want numbers between, so I'm going to say numbers between say 32 and 40. So it actually means, so 32 plus 40 minus 32.
Forget the S on numbers.
I am missing the numbers. Excellent. So you are paying attention. Very good. Makes sense? So I put that in number. Now I need to write a function which actually will take, which will output my numbers. So let's do, how do we do that? So I'm going to say public static void in this case, because I just want to output the numbers. Print array. I take the double number in here. And then what I do is I just go through those numbers. So I say, okay, for int I equal to 0, I less than length, I plus plus, and then I do say system dot out dot println.
You misspelled numbers in English.
Ah, you're doing my spell check for me. Excellent. Okay. And let's do, what do we do here? So we say number, so ID, so I'm just going to say I plus I plus plus and number. So let's see.
You misspelled the length on the top.
Hold your horses. I'm going to check it. Okay. So obviously in this one, we don't have to return anything. So this should be okay. Now, how do I run it? I will say print array. I can call it after and then just call numbers. So we'll take this out. I don't need this guy. So now what this is doing is it actually does 10 random numbers. Number length GTH. That guy's not happy. Let's see if it's better now. There you go. Are all these numbers between 32 and 30. Now we have an issue though. The issue is you are seeing all the numbers are actually there is 37, there is 38, 35. I see some 35, some 36, 37. I don't see any 32s. So if I have to change to 100 numbers, how do I change to 100 numbers? Anybody? Oh, there you go. I have some people. Change size. Excellent. So I will change this to 100. Let's see. In those 100 numbers, do you see? Oh, I see a 32. I like that. I see a 38, 32, another 32. I see a 39. So it doesn't give me 40. Why does it not give me 40? Because it's between 0 and 1. So I doubt I could do this though. Let me try this actually. I can do. So let's see what this does now. So 35, 34. Oh, I see a 40. I like that. I see another 40. Do I see 32? I see 33. I see another 33. Do you see a 32 anywhere here? Oh, there you go. I see 132. So it's actually working. Now, if I wanted to make it more refined, so I could say int starting number and I can say int ending number. So if I say starting number equal to 32, ending number equal to 40, I could say, how will this work? I can say starting number plus ending number minus starting number. Okay, I'm making this window a little bigger. Will this work? I see 33. Do I see a 32? I see a 32, number 25. Let me run it again and see if it number 25 gives me the same thing too. Somebody said 25. What do you mean 25? Hmm, 32. Okay, 23 is now 30. Oh, 25. Okay. Okay, the number. Okay, now this says. So now if I wanted to make this as a function, what would I do? Any takers? If I wanted to calculate, so if I wanted to say, okay, public, I wanted to calculate, say, an array. So I say double, get random array. What would you pass in?
Numbers.
Okay, that's one way of doing it. Easier way would be, okay, so I can do numbers.
Double numbers, right?
No, but
Double
the point
bracket.
is I still need to know starting and ending, correct?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
So I say int, say starting number, int ending number, and then I can say double numbers, correct?
Yeah.
So, and then why is it not happy? Public static. Oh, because I need to return something. So I'll return, say, random numbers. So I have to first create, so I'll say, I can do this guy. See carefully what I'm doing here. So I'm going to say random numbers is equal to new double. So whatever the array comes in, that's the same size it's actually going to get created, correct? And I can do this guy from here. I can say for int I equal to 0, I less than, okay, and then I can say, so I can say random numbers is equal to ending number, starting number, math random. Does that make sense? Any questions there? So I can remove this guy. I don't need this person. So I can say, do you see anything that I've done here which is different?
You're using get random numbers.
No, I'm using get random numbers, but I'm putting it back into numbers. Can I do that?
Shouldn't you be using get random array instead, right?
Can I do that? No. Hmm? Let's see if I can do that. Ah, we have a problem here. What is the problem?
You should be using the function name instead of the one inside, right?
This function is not copied correctly, correct? So that's one issue. Is there anything else that you see? Oh, I see more. Cannot find symbol starting number. This is good.
You're not passing numbers length in, or no?
No, because it's
Should I?
going to get it
Sorry.
from the numbers actually.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
can get from there. So I'm trying to see why is it not. So the easiest way to check it is this way. See that? I selected, the other one gets selected. That looks good. Ah, see the issue that I see? You see that? I've got capital and small.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's true.
So that's one of the issues that I would see. Ending number. Let's see. There you go. Calculates the numbers. And I see a 32 at 27. I see another 32 at 36. So, question for you guys. What do you think? I'll give people 5 minutes to gather their thoughts and then we can continue.
Wait,
Is everybody done?
almost.
Almost. Okay, so I'll wait.
Okay, mine works. Yeah.
Oops. Almost. So there is more that I need to do in here.
Yeah, I'm done with mine.
Hmm?
I'm done with mine.
Double int?
No, I'm done with mine. Sorry.
You're done with yours. Okay, good. Ah, I see Mickey. Hi, Mickey. How are you doing?
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. At least you made it. How's the quarantine treating you guys?
I'm good. I have enough toilet paper.
Ah, that's important, correct?
Yes.
Minimum things in life need to be there, correct?
Yes.
Can every... Oh, 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 oh. Okay, so let's continue. So few things I need you to... So few things that we've learned here. One, we've learned how to do returning so what we've done here is returning double from a function. That's what we've done. Also, we've done printing. So we've done a few things. So we've done printing of an array. We've done returning a function from a double. So few things like that. So this is one of the two questions that you will need to answer. The second thing is we can also, like, assuming instead of doing random numbers, I say, okay, if I wanted to do the same thing as an integer, I could do int, essentially takes in an int and returns an int. You see, this is possible. Does this make sense to you?
Wouldn't that cause an error on the top?
Do you think so?
Because the top one is double, right?
So I'll teach. This is some interesting concept that I'm going to teach you. So there is something which is called. So I'm going to say. So I'm going to call it another variable. So I'm going to say double or int basically. So I'm going to say int. Say I numbers is basically int numbers is double size. Okay. So I'm going to say I numbers I numbers. You see what I'm doing? So I'm just going to make it 10 just to make it easier. I'm going to do the same thing here. You see what I've done?
No.
Okay, I will explain it to you. Give me a second. So int I numbers is equal to int. Okay.
Okay, now I kind of see it now.
You kind of see it now. So I will show it to the other people too. So what I have done is I have called. So there's something which is starting number, ending number. Wait, why is it not incompatible types? So where that is the reason why incompatible types. So I have to make this into an int. I can do that. So I'll go over it with you. Let it work, and then I will explain it to you. So what I've done is, you see that in the first case it gives me all doubles. In the second case it gives me all integers. So what I have done is I've used the same function, but I'm inputting different values inside it. That in I can pass it an int or I can pass it a double. Okay, there are some concepts which are called polymorphism, and so what it does is you can use the same function with different parameters with the same name. Does can you identify that? So I have used exactly the same name here and here, but I'm using a different parameter here. What's different? Int, 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 double. Does that make sense? So this is int, int, double, and this is int, int, int. This is double, and this is int. This is a very interesting concept. It is possible that you may have two, one function which behaves differently when you take in integers and it behaves differently when you take in doubles. You are not going to write two functions with different names like print array double, print array it. It's kind of counterintuitive. Does that make sense? I don't see anybody. Let's see. Do everybody see this? I see one chat message. Yes, sir. Okay. So this is a very interesting concept. The concept is basically if you have a function, you can pass it different parameters and make it do different things. Like in one case, I am actually doing double. In the other case, I am actually doing int. Now I could do this though. In the double version, I could not round it. You see, in the integer version, I could round it. You see that? If I run it, it is very different. Two different functions. See that? I round it, but I create an integer of it. You know? And in one case it returns an integer, in the other case it returns a person. Like it returns decimals, you know, in the first case, and in the other case it returns integer. Anybody has any questions on this? So is everybody understanding? If I have to give you a second part of your exam. So if I give it in the exam, everybody's okay? My God, that's silence.
Yeah.
No, not for you, yeah. What about the other people? I am little stuck. Aha, there you go. And the plot thickens. Yes, Mickey, what can I do for you? Can you share your screen and we can debug your code? This concept this is called typecasting. Typecasting is a concept in which if you have a double, you convert it to an integer by just doing a bracket int like this. This is basically whatever the value comes behind, it converts it to an int. So this is basically typecasting for you. I could do the same thing with an int and make a bracket double if I choose to, you know, or parse int or parse double. There are several ways of doing it. Now, this is called typecasting. So if you go look in the slides, there is something which is called typecasting. So I'm going to put a comment on here. Typecasting, okay? I could typecast a double to an integer by doing this. Would typecast this double to an integer. If I wanted to convert a double to an integer, I could do it that way. So that should fix your problem. Any other questions on this? So I've done a few things here. The first thing I've done, let me just make sure I answer all the questions. It's my chat. I don't see my chat.
Mine says it's an error.
Hmm?
Mine has an error.
Yours has an error when you typecast?
Oh wait, hold on.
You
I
need
think
to put a
I
bracket
think I
before.
found out why. Hold on. Yeah, I did. Okay. Never mind.
So I will show you another trick. I will show you another trick. Now, in this case, okay, I still have an error. Okay, now you have another problem. So I'm going to stop. Okay, so few things that I need to talk here. First, I could make global variables by putting these outside. Now, if you look at this variables have only scope within these brackets. Within these brackets. So this is called scoping. These variables that I pass from here is passed from here. So anything that I have inside these brackets can only be used inside these brackets. Now numbers I'm using because numbers is being passed from this main bracket. So I see 3. So let me share this. Give me a second. Let me share another screen. Okay, so few things though. I'm going to share. Uh, I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to stop share here and share here. Okay, so few things though. If you looked at my code, there was a main function, then there was a print function, then there was another print function, then there was a random number function, correct? Now any variable that's defined here can only be used within this part. Any variable that's defined here can only be used within this part. Any variable defined here can only be used within this part, and anything defined in main can only be used in main unless you pass it to print as a parameter. Unless you pass it as print as a parameter, that's the only time it can be used. Okay, does that make sense? I'm going to go back to my code and show it to you. So if you look at this code, there are a few things that you need to look at here. Anything that is passed, so I have these 3 variables here, correct? These 3 variables here, they can only be used in these brackets unless they are passed to a function like this. Now it's passed to a function like this, that means I can use them here in this function. I'm using them here in this function, I'm using them in this function. Now I have numbers, and I numbers is passed to this function and this function, so it can be used in this function, otherwise it cannot. Similarly, numbers and I numbers are passed to this function, that's why they can be used. Now in the get random array int, I pass I numbers here. Here I pass I numbers, that's why I can use them here. Does that make sense? This is called scoping. So random numbers and scoping. Okay, scoping and something called polymorphism. Okay, couple of things. In polymorphism, you can have the same function with different parameter types. You see, I can use an int, I can use a long int. There is a possibility that I may want to deal with the function differently. I can use, double, I can use quite a few of those things in each of those. I could have different number of parameters. I could have, I could also make a function I could technically also make a function which would, so I could technically make a function which would have just one parameter, so it just has one parameter. I could do that too. It's different from the one previously, you know. Does that make sense? It will not work, but so I could do this though. It just, so this one just gives me numbers between 0 and 1. So math random only gives me functions between 0 and 1. So I can fix this by int. I will remove the int here so that it's not always 0 or 1. You know, and so int random math round random number. This will give me values between 0 and 1. So let's do this. So I do another one. I'm going to call binary numbers. I'm going to do so binary numbers, and I'm going to take this away. Binary numbers, and I am going to print array. Okay, so that looks good. That looks good. Let's see if it runs. Do you think it's going to run? Any takers?
Just print LB on the line 22.
Line 22. Oh. Yes, it'll be buggy. There we go.
And then for I number, it's supposed to be I numbers.
Perfect. Also be int. Let's see if it works.
Oh. I think it's because it's an int, so it can't have decimals on it.
So where, which one? This one, this line? Math random?
Yeah.
Math round. So this is a long with a double argument, which is good. What is it complaining? It's
But
saying
it's an int on the top, like the int bracket.
possible lossy conversion from long to int, which is fine. You know what? Okay, let me try. See, let it not round. Let it just directly take it into an int. Because it's going to be rounding between 0 and 1, basically. And it will always will give you 1, correct? Math random conversion from a double to an int, lossy conversion. Why? Because it will always be 0. So what I can do is I can do 1 plus int. If I wanted a value between 0 and 1, how would I make a value between 0 and 1? So math random, I could do, remember if we did, if math random greater than 0. Remember this? Then 0 else 1, correct? Greater than 0.5. Let's see if that works. There you go. See? So if it's greater than 0.5, I will make it 0.49. Then it will make it 0, otherwise it will make it 1. Remember the if statement, you could use it this way. So this is actually using if, use of if. This way you can do that. You see that? It gives you zeros and ones. Any questions on this? I don't see any questions. Everybody very happy?
Mm.
Do you want me to go over something? What this does is it calculates math random. If it's greater than 0.49, then it puts the value to 0, or it puts the value, else it puts the value of 1. This is a shortened version of if then else. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so I have a chat. Let's see. You want me to go over? Give me a second. Okay. So I'm going to stop here.